4 seconds, Ross. Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. Welcome to MFSN The Hub's Fantasy Football Waiver Wire Show every Monday at 8:45 p.m. Eastern, 5:45 p.m. Pacific, except not after this week because this is the last show.
I
this
know.
Is the last show.
My text for you, buddy.
All right, let me introduce everybody. I'm here with Casey Vlad to the Bone Scheinbold. I'm here with Ross the Boss. Go ahead and give your intro.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ross the Boss. I want to talk fantasy football waiver wire with you, cowboy.
And I am very excited. We have a guest today. It is Alex Marino, the fantasy football hustler. You can find him on YouTube. He is the creator and host there. And we've already got questions flowing in just from him. So somebody, Nigel Milosev, says, good job, hustler, on the Damian Harris super captain. Now, that's for Super Draft, right?
That is for Super Draft, so champion. But yeah, we had a Q&A about an hour ago, and we were talking about who we were going to put in as the champion. And Damian Harris was someone that I wanted everywhere, so I kind of had him in a bunch. Ramondre Stevenson, in a bunch, and Nigel's coming all the way from Serbia, so international stream already.
Nice.
Serbia in the house.
All right, now guys, we're talking Yahoo 60% and owner and under rostership. So Alex, I just want to orient you to that. We're going to go through QBs first, okay? First of all, we've been talking up Carson Wentz for a while, but he's all the way up at 70% now. People finally got the message. If you'd caught on early, you would have had it. You would have caught the wave. Now, who else do we have? So, Ross, I'll start with you. I'm not going to put Alex on the hot seat right away. Alex, you get settled.
Well, Tyson Hill, I got to mention him first just because 11 rushes, over 100 yards. I know New Orleans, I know they're not the greatest offense without Kamara playing. I think he's coming back next week. I don't know if he's at practice. We'll find out. But Tyson Hill, if he's healthy, and I know he hurt his finger a little bit over the weekend, doesn't matter. He's my number one pickup for a quarterback this week. What do you think?
Okay, first of all, I totally agree, but I need to orient Alex to the fact that Ross sometimes struggles with pronunciations. So
Tyson Hill.
Yeah, you kind of said it like one of the
Hill.
You said it like one of the girls
I
from
said Denny
Forrest
Hill.
Gump.
I said Tyreek Hill. I said Tyson Hill.
Okay, it's Tayson Hill, but you're saying it like a girl from Forrest Gump. Tyson Hill. Okay.
Life is like a box of chocolates.
Listen, I agree. I picked up Taysom Hill last week and started him. He is an injury risk. He could end up going out of the game. That's the one problem with him.
I don't know.
But if you're looking for upside, in my league,
I hurt a finger, I just put it back into place and I play. It's
well. Listen, if you were starting for me, I wouldn't need to worry about it. But Taysom Hill,
exactly.
Alex, why don't you talk about Taysom Hill and anybody else that you feel would be your next guy? Unless Taysom Hill is not your top guy, go ahead and tell me.
I'm nervous about Taysom Hill right now. If he's going to be the RB1, and they're just going out of the Wildcat, I kind of like it because after he hurt his finger, that's pretty much all they did. They just kept, just pounding the rock with him. And the person that I think that I'm going to be going with down the stretch is going to be Jimmy G. Not the best, but not the worst. He, one of my homies, Bogart, he says they win ugly with handsome Jimmy. And he's been doing his thing over there. And if you go look at the schedule, so, not just this week, versus Cincinnati, even though Herbert just pretty much shredded them apart, but just throughout the playoffs and all the way through the championship, he's got a pretty money schedule. So Jimmy G, one of the three I got.
Jets next week. Hustler. Hill plays the Jets next week. Okay? What does that tell you? The Jets defense isn't good, isn't bad. They're awful. So if you want a great pickup that's playing a bad team next week, and if it's a streamer for you, I'd rather have Hill playing the Jets than your boy going down to Cincinnati and playing them in the jungle, which isn't a good place to play.
Now, keep in mind, Alex, Ross is a Bengals fan, but they have backed it up. I'm really liking this, boss versus hustler thing. It's going really well. Loving it. Casey, let's let you jump in. Who do you got at quarterback?
I had a question for Alex first. Do you consider Cincinnati in the middle of December when you're recommending a quarterback? Like weather as a factor? Because look what's going on in the Monday night game right now. Do you look at that when you're making your projections?
Alex?
Was that for me? So today we actually did. I wish I did that a little bit in over the weekend because there was a couple games where the weather was just so bad and the wind, was really ridiculous. you just assume there's not going to be that much rushing, or I mean that much passing. It's only going to be rushing. So for today, I was fading a lot of these players. It's dope. Gabe Davis actually just scored right now, and I told someone to start Gabe Davis in a crazy vampire league. He needed 1 point to win, and he was like, "Do I start Diggs or do I start Gabe Davis? Because if I start Gabe Davis, I could trade that person for Tyreek Hill." And so I was like, dude, just get ballsy. Go Gabe Davis. You only need 1.5 points from him. That's 15 yards or 1 catch and 10 yards. And you just got a touchdown. So I love it when people make me look like a genius.
Genius. I didn't have Gabe Davis at all in any of my picks. None of them.
No, but listen. So I had never heard of a vampire league, but I totally understood what it was when you just described that. So it's basically you can take a player away from somebody else.
Yeah, so there's usually it's 10 teams. There's one vampire. They don't draft. All the other teams draft, and the vampire team is made up just of free agents only. So, all the scraps that are left, and then whenever the vampire wins, they get to steal a player from the team that they just beat. Usually it's starter for starter.
All right. I'm going to read a couple comments here. We've got JC Money Design saying Patriots got away with a holding call. Now, of course, by the time I was reading this, I think that was like 10 minutes ago, but still. Then Harris took full advantage. Now I'm going to jump down, and JC Money Design said Gabe Davis TV. So this guy's he's announcing the game for us. I love it.
Keep it
Chandler
going.
Brunelli says Hustler knows 100%. Hustler, you got some fans.
Oh yeah, and JC Money, that's actually Justin Chase. So he was the person that they interviewed for Super Draft Pro like a week or 2 weeks before me. He was number 2 on the leaderboards for Super Draft Pro. So yeah, he hosts a bunch of shows with me and stuff. And JC Money Design, he's the man. If you guys need graphics, that's your dude.
Oh, I love it. Love
Need
it.
a graphic guy.
All right, Ross, get ready for this comment. Nigel Millisev says the Hustler has a better hat than the boss. Already up 1-0.
Disagreeing. I like what he's wearing.
That's very.
That's a Hustler hat. I'm not going to disagree with you.
And
If anybody has ever seen Breaking Bad, you may recognize the hat because that's where this hat is from. It's the exact same company. I bought it in the 2013 the San Diego Comic-Con. It was the company. They actually made 100 of these, like the exact same Heisenberg hat. It's got the COA, the Certificate of Authenticity. Exact same everything that he wore.
I have a Walter White mask that I wear during Halloween.
Yeah.
It looks just like him, and it scares Casey Scheinfeld every season I wear it.
Almost everything about you scares me, Ross.
It's true.
I love the Heisenberg hat. Just don't, chop me up and put me in a bathtub. And also, probably shouldn't be making meth right now if you are. I'm just saying. All right, guys, I'm going to mention a couple other quarterbacks, then we're going to move on. Taylor Heineke he's a pretty underrated quarterback.
Do you know his backstory, Dan? Do you know, he wasn't drafted. He went to Old Dominion, which is a girls' basketball school. Nancy Lieberman went there, and basically he got a tryout with the Carolina Panthers. That's why Rivera knew about him. He was sitting at his house playing on the computer. He gets a call from the Washington team to come on and play, and now he's like. He's going to have this job for a while. He's not, I think this is the guy. I think this is going to be their starting quarterback for a while, and he's getting better every week. And you know what? The team of Washington has 5 games left, 2 against Dallas, 2 against Philadelphia, and 1 against the Giants. I don't think that's a hard schedule between us 5. You know what I mean?
And you're right. And with Dallas, the game script could mean he has to throw the ball a lot. So, it's a good week to have scary Terry McLaurin and Taylor Heineke, I think.
I like Heineke. I love this backstory. You guys know I'm a sucker for a great story. And, this guy that was going to be he was in graduate school and he was going to be a high school gym coach basically. And now he's a star in the NFL. I said it. He's a star and he's playing. That kid's a winner. I like that kid a lot. He runs, he passes, does everything.
All right, now before we move on from QBs, I have to ask this question, and this is partly a dynasty question. I'll ask Alex about this, but I want to get your guys' takes too, Casey and Ross. Trey Lance next year, what can we expect from him? Is he gonna get his time? What's happening?
He might not even start week 1 next year. And it's all about it because Jimmy G still got the 1 more year on his contract. So, I mean, a lot of it is going to come to these offseason moves. You know, do they end up moving them? They got to trade him. We know there's going to be some teams looking for a QB. So if they move him, you know, before the draft, I'm going to say, well, obviously Lance will be the starter. But I think that Lance is so raw. Maybe they let him sit for 2 years.
Yeah, I agree. If Jimmy G keeps winning and they're in the playoffs, Jimmy G's
what
not
are they going to do?
He's going to be staying in San Francisco for at least another year.
All right, guys, we're going to jump to running backs, and I'm just going to make my usual comment, which is you guys should be picking up the major handcuffs. Guys are going down by injury. Alex, just so you know, and I have to brag about it, but Alexander Madison, I shouldn't even brag about it because it's so obvious. I was talking about him for literally the entire season, and now he is making a huge difference on teams in their playoff push and in the playoffs. Chuba Hubbard is another guy that I talked up the whole time. So, you know, if there's anybody out there, we should mention them in this segment. But Casey, I'll start with you on running backs. Who would be your top pickup that you see out there?
Running back under 60% is so thin at running back. You know, I was looking honestly, you know, for weeks I was saying, you know, my guy was Boston Scott for 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he was really like trending in the right direction, doing a great job, making me look really smart. Got sick this past week, but they said he was active, so I was still pumped about him again. And suddenly he gets 0 carries in the game yesterday, and Kenneth Gainwell showed up, and suddenly he got 12 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown. They're on a bye next week, so I know you can't use him for week 14, but Kenneth Gainwell is still somebody. All of a sudden, do you play him or do you not play him? Do you trust him again? Is he back in the rotation? But I guess my you know, what was it? What did he get last week? Was it Tevin Coleman for the Jets? Suddenly got a lot of playing time, and he's a regular now with Michael Carter being out for the rest of the year. So Tevin Coleman might be my top pickup coming in, but New Orleans is such a tough run defense. I don't feel really confident with any of the running backs who are under 60% owned.
All right, well, we're going to pause on running backs anyway, and I want to jump back to quarterbacks because we're getting some comments that I want to read. The GMM network is saying Taylor, meaning Taylor Heineke, is 28 years old. He probably will stick around as long as Ron Rivera is there. It took the same regime that drafted him to Carolina to give him another chance in Washington because of nobody giving that kid a chance, and they probably were wrong to not look his way. Really looks that way to me. Also, we've got people saying, you the man, Huss. I mean, JC Money Design. He says, you the man. And so far, it really seems that you are. So I'm going to turn it over to you now, and I want to hear from you about who you'd be scooping up 60% and below in rostership at running back.
I'm just going to cheat, and I'm going to go 2 of them because they're on the same team. Let's go with Dontrell Hilliard and Donta Foreman. We got nobody there as long as Derrick Henry is out. You know, they're going to keep splitting it between these guys. I mean, both pretty solid, you know, with their workload. I mean, Dontrell, he breaks off that, I think it was like a 35-yarder, 39-yarder, something like that for a touchdown. And Donta Foreman got all the work, you know, on the ground as well. I think he got close to 20 touches total. That's going to be their formula for success, is literally ground and pound. There's going to have to do it with both of these guys, and I think both can be viable flex plays, and you got Jacksonville. What more do you want out of a matchup?
Yeah, you know, also, if you happen to have 2 roster spots, scoop them both up. Let it see how it plays out. Maybe one of them runs away with it, and you've got somebody with a really good job there. I think you scoop them both up. Ross, who else would you add to the picture?
I thought the same thing. I was going to ask the Hustler, out of those 2, which one would you only pick up one? Which one do you like, Hilliard or Foreman?
I think I like the upside a little bit more of Hilliard. He just looked a little bit more elusive with the ball. I mean, guys who get high volume and they're low efficiency, I mean, it kind of sucks. I would rather have the guy getting lower volume and being higher efficiency. I mean, just because those are the guys who maybe they get on a roll and maybe they just get played a little bit more, you know, down the stretch. So I would rather have a guy like that who can take the top off. Well, top off a bad defense. Nothing that, you know, Hilliard still is who he is.
Before the break, they were on bye week this week. The week before, both of them had over 100 yards against New England, who's a pretty good defense, excuse me. So, I mean, both these guys are both capable. I just don't know who to pick up because they're both available in my league, but I guess I'll go with Hilliard, who you're saying, and that's a good idea. The only other guy I like, he's playing tonight, is Matt Breida. He catches, he runs, he's the X factor, I believe, for Buffalo. I feel he's the guy that's going to get a lot of playing time. I think they gave up on Zach Moss. I think he's in the doghouse. I don't know.
Yeah, how far Singletary and Moss have fallen in terms of.
I think Singletary will play at least in the third and fourth quarter. We'll see some Singletary, but this Matt Breida guy, when he gets the ball, he runs hard and it's downhill. And Buffalo loves to run the ball, especially in the cold weather. So I think he's a pretty good pickup. Again, you're not going to win your league with him, but he's not going to hurt you.
All right, now I'm going to jump back for a sec because this is going back to the Heisenberg principle. We have a comment about, and I don't know if this was a deliberate joke or somebody was talking into their phone and it typed out in a hilarious way, but it's meth and feta means is one hell of a drug. So I was
and that's my buddy Bogart from the GMM network. He's also a coach on Super Draft.
Nice. Okay, we've got a lot of knowledgeable guys in the house tonight. It's fun to see. Guys, anybody that you'd add? I mean, I think anybody who's behind Saquon Barkley is somebody you may want to have on your bench. I'm not saying to cut somebody good for him, but what's Devonte Booker's status at this point, Casey? You're a Giants fan.
Oh, look, I'm a Giants fan who's so disgruntled with the Giants. You could put Barry Sanders behind that offensive line in his prime, and I wouldn't have too much faith in him. That's the issue with the Giants is they don't have a quarterback who can at least take any of the pressure off the running game, and they don't have a guard or a tackle who can hold up a block long enough to open a hole for a running back. So I don't trust any Giant.
All right, listen, I'm going to say one that's going to be probably an unpopular pick here. I am aware that the Colts are on bye, but if you scoop up Nahim Heinz for your playoff run, he could pay off a lot. You could do a lot worse than holding a roster spot for him. And listen, one thing I like to do is you can see how games play out. Maybe somebody doesn't do anything. You have Matt Breida, he doesn't do anything, and then you see how it plays out and cut him for Nahim Heinz, who's still going to be available because he's on bye, so he'll be a free agent in most leagues. He's a good guy to scoop up. All right, guys. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. We love to talk fantasy sports with you, whether it's our fans or the Hustlers fans. We'd love to talk to you. We also have our rankings available each Wednesday at www.mfsn.tv, so look for them there. We'll get the rankings up as soon as we can. Guys, let's turn to wide receivers. Ross, I'm going to return to you. You give me your top wide receiver, 60% and under in there.
So my producer just sent me a thing in my earpiece. Adam Thielen, how do you say it? Thielen, thank you. The great receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. He has a high ankle sprain. That's a horrible injury. We know in any sport. It sounds, it's just a sprain. High ankle sprain is a little different. That's a few weeks you're not playing football because you got to do cuts. It's a whole ordeal. So CJ Osborne is their other receiver, and he'll be in the mix a lot, I believe, for Minnesota. He's only 4% owned. So what I'm telling you is for your playoff run, this guy's going to get a lot of targets. I suggest you pick him up. You listen to Boss. I know what I'm talking about. CJ Osborne, my number one pickup and wide receiver for the week.
All right, I'm gonna challenge Alex a little bit and come to him last because I want to see his deep
positions.
But really quick, it's KJ Osborne.
I was going to say
we're going to correct that. I promise.
Right, I can't read my own writing, guys.
Listen, Alex, this is one of the perks of working with Ross. You never know what he's going to say.
I always say I like to have fun.
Got to keep everyone on their toes. I mean, if it was me, I'd say I just mess up names on purpose to see if you guys catch it.
That's what Ross
very
said.
Smart. Ross, are you taking notes?
I'm taking.
He pronounced my name wrong for the first 6 months. So
that's right.
I called him
Jim
Cassius. I called him.
All right, Case, who do you got?
I got two guys. Obviously, the cover of our waiver wire this week is Russell Gage in Atlanta, with their wide receiver situation being not very consistent, and with Calvin Ridley being out for what seems like the year now at this point. He's getting a bunch of targets. He got 12 this last week. Between he and Pitts and Patterson, those are the only kind of offensive options for Matt Ryan. And the other guy is the Egyptian god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown in Detroit. He got 12 targets this week, caught that kind of feel-good touchdown at the end of the game against Minnesota to give them their first win of the year. You'd think they won the Super Bowl the way they all reacted. It was fun to watch. He seems to have some chemistry all of a sudden with Goff. And if you're getting 12 targets, I look at volume in that case. You know, you don't want a guy who's getting only 3 or 4 targets a game. If he's getting double digits in targets like he did last week, if he catches a bunch of them, he's going to be productive. So those are the two guys I would look at.
All right, I like it. I'm going to swing it to you now, Alex. Who do you got? Oh, wait, we have some comments on KJ Osborne. Somebody was saying KJ Bud to Ross, but KJ Osborne, dude has glue for hands. Is that true, Alex? Is he like that?
I mean, every time I've seen him playing out there, I mean, if it touches his hands, he don't drop it.
It's like that scene from The Replacements where they put the stickum on.
And we all know Justin Jefferson's going to be double teamed, and Osborne's going to get a lot of the targets. So we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah. And so if you guys didn't hear the news, Deontay Harris, he's getting his 3-game suspension
I saw
for
that.
the Saints. So one of my big pickups this week is going to be Traequan Smith and going up against the Jets.
I'm gonna listen to you. I'll put the waiver wire request in on that today.
All right, Alex, let me ask you this, though. Would you rather have Traequan Smith or Marquez Callaway, who's also actually under 60%?
I mean, see, Marquez Callaway, it seems like he's getting like the best coverage, on every single game. So I just feel like, I mean, all these guys are pretty boom bust, but
yeah, Ty Montgomery in that list too.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, guy like Traequan, who was more on the, probably going with the second team, and Tayson Hill and Simeon, he's probably got better rapport with those guys than Callaway does. Cause I mean, Callaway's been like on the first team. I mean, pretty much the whole year.
Right.
He just doesn't get targets. Callaway is like never gets enough targets for me as a receiver. I had him on my team. I waved his ass. And now I just heard from my producer that Keenan Allen is on the COVID list.
He is.
This is true.
You guys got to tap into our news show. It's it's 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific. Yeah, Monday through Friday. We literally break down every piece of fantasy relevant news. So,
and where can I find that show, Alex?
It's going to be on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch. If you go to fantasyfootballhustler.com, you can get to everywhere, or you just search Fantasy Football Hustler on all these platforms.
Fantasy Football Hustler. You can find him. He knows what he's talking about. Even though he wears a gold chain and I wear a gold chain, we're still friendly. Don't worry, guys.
But I got 2 of them on, so I got you beat again.
Oh,
but
man.
And you got to order me another chain with more diamonds, please.
You can afford more because you're making and selling meth. So,
and I'm gonna sneak in another one. Only 2% rostered. Gabriel Davis. He's getting a bunch of targets out there right now. And then this next week they go up against who the hell do they go up against next week? But it's gonna be a tough matchup. They go up against the Bucks.
Yes, Bucks. Hot one tonight.
No, Carlton Davis. He's probably better than what's his name, J.C. Jackson out there. But yeah, he's getting Diggs getting double teamed on damn near every play out there.
Yeah, he is.
Alex, who's the guy on Tennessee? Nick Westbrook. Westbrook.
Ekine, I think is how Westbrook Ekine.
Okay, we should have turned that over to Ross to see what he would have done.
Yeah, sure. Marquez Valdez-Scanlon we like too. He's coming off a bye week. He's the number 2 receiver for Green Bay. He's under 60%. I feel Aaron Rodgers will start airing it out a lot more now. I think he's really upset, really pissed what's going on. So I think down the run, I would love to have Aaron Rodgers on my team right now. I think he's going to be the top producer right now. Any quarterback position, if you have Aaron Rodgers, you have a good shot to win your league.
Alex, who is Kendrick Bourne? What's he doing tonight?
I don't think he's done anything.
He's no
not really. They haven't been throwing it too much. Jonnu Smith might have more catches than Kendrick Bourne does as of right now.
And he has 1 reception for 12 yards, I think.
That's the thing about these fringe guys is game script can take it away from all kinds of things and however they're playing. So we're getting comments about, the Buffalo running situation. Somebody said Josh Allen, the Stallion, is the best running back they got.
Yep.
That's the GMM network. And it's hard to disagree with that, certainly. But then followed up by, Buffalo running Zach Moss tonight also. LOL, 3-headed backfield, something you don't want.
It's a mess. Worse. It's a mess in Buffalo. I wouldn't want any of those running backs on my team, actually.
Oh man! And guess who's number 1 in the elite on Super Draft Pro? It's the GMM network. It's Bogart in there, and it's because he's playing Gabe Davis and Harris in there, and he's number 1 right now.
He has them both champions.
No. He neither one are actually champions, but Gabe Davis, he's probably like not rostered anywhere.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's a great pick on Superdraft. What's his multiplier? It had to be very high.
Oh, it had to be high. I'm not even sure what it was. Bogart, if you know what Gabe Davis's multiplier is, throw it in the chat.
Let's do it. Okay, now we're going to move to tight end, guys. Tight end, obviously, so much of the time it's a total crapshoot. But let's talk about guys that you can get 60% and under. There's better dart throws than others. Alex, I'll let you start off this one. Who would you pick up?
Tyler Conklin, let's get him. Adam Thielen went down. He is going to get a lot of extra targets. Going up against the Steelers, they have been pretty tough. But the thing about the Steelers is they either shut a tight end completely down or the tight end goes off. And I think the tight end's going to go off this week.
I think that's a great pick. Ross, what follow-up do you have to that?
Is George Kittle, is he over 60% or under?
Yep. We go over this most of the time. He's been over 60% for.
Okay, I didn't know.
Probably about 14
George Kittle, congratulations. You have the best tight end in the league. I said it. Kelsey's not the best anymore. It's George Kittle. So if you drafted Kelsey in the first 2 rounds, which I said not to do, hopefully you didn't do that because you're not doing well right now.
I got to stop you there, Ross. That is not a boss comment. He's only had 3 bad games on the entire season.
Guys, the first 5 weeks of the season, he said George Kittle was the most overrated tight end in fantasy.
George Kittle is the most offensive tight end right now in the past few weeks. Kelsey is not playing up to last year at all. Hill, I'm happy I don't have him either. That's an embarrassment too. And Mahomes, the whole Kansas City team's an embarrassment except for the defense.
Ross, your relationship with George Kittle is like a relationship in middle school.
Horrible.
Break up and then back together.
His relationship with the truth.
But Kelsey has had 1 game underneath double-digit points. One game if you play in a 1.0 PPR league. That's it. Just 1 game underneath double-digit points. He's
playing like a second round or late first round pick. You feel
Alex, I drafted Kelsey in the first round, and I'm not sorry about it.
Me neither, because guess what? CMC got drafted in the first. Derrick Henry got drafted in the first. We could go down the list of everybody.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Kelsey's such a difference maker at tight end compared to, he hasn't done as well as previous seasons, but he's still really great. So
fine.
As you might expect,
I'm saying if I had a choice between Kelsey or Kittle, I would pick Kittle. It's that easy.
I understand.
How many games did Kittle miss so far, though?
7, 8, 9. Doesn't matter. I don't care if he missed every game till last week. Doesn't matter. Playoffs.
But George Brittle, is George Brittle going to show up, or is it going to be Kittle?
Oh, nice.
Did you guys watch any of that 49er game yesterday? I had softball. I came back from softball. I watched the Niner game. I was on Red Zone. And he gets the ball 70% of the time on that offense. It's unbelievable much they throw to the guy. And he catches everything.
Wasn't that because Debo's out?
Yeah.
Once Debo's back in, his volume will go down some.
I think that's likely to be the case. But hey, I love how much you love him. Case, let's turn it to you. Tight end, who you got? I think Conklin's a great pick. By the way, he was 9% last week.
Conklin was my top pick. You got Jared Cook going against the Giants. I think anybody going against the Giants is a decent pick at this point. But tight end is thin. Cole Kmet against Green Bay. I think Chicago's going to have to throw the ball a lot. Cole Kmet has kind of shown a little bit of rapport with both quarterbacks. And is clearly the top tight end in Chicago right now. So those are 2 guys I would look at.
It's pretty abysmal at that point. I'm looking at him is Gerald Everett worth it? And I'm let me check him out. Oh, he got 7 yards last week. This is the kind of thing you're dealing with at this point in the season.
And he fumbled the ball at the goal line too. Remember that?
He's not your pickup, but
don't pick up that loser. No way. Another guy I like, he plays for, is Evan Ingram, I guess. Maybe KAC, I don't know.
Oh, man.
I love how we keep feeding this to Casey.
Brittle and unreliable.
Every time we see a Giant, we're like, Casey, what do you think? Is this good? And he's like,
he had 5 targets, 64 yards last week. It's not bad.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Look, but who's going to be throwing him the ball?
I'm not disagreeing. Again, the tight end is a safety valve.
He couldn't even keep the job at Georgia.
I agree with you guys. The tight end position is a crapshoot. Just take a dartboard and put a bunch of names up there and just pick one. I think
you may just take a defense that's going to give up a lot of points. At least that way you're possibly playing into something. All right, let's jump to defenses, guys.
Defense. I saw the Huskers defense post, and it was great.
And you know what? I got two more, just in case people are like really deep diving, because Conklin's going to be like the number one, waiver wire, pickup for a tight end. But how about Gerald Everett going up against the Texans this week? And then how about David Njoku going up against the Ravens, who've been giving up the booty to the tight end?
Actually, I was going to mention Njoku because, listen, he could end up not giving you anything, but he could end up being huge. The way he's
one of those super athletic boomer bust tight ends.
It's yet another reason that I look at the Browns and I don't understand anything about what they're doing. It's just bizarre. All right, now, thank you for that, Hustler. That's what we need to hear. We need some options for our people. Okay, let's jump to defenses. Week 14, who do you got? Case, I'll let you start this off.
Well, I think you go down the list of who's playing Chicago, Detroit, Jacksonville, or the Jets, and you play their defenses, and all of them are under 60% owned. So pick one. You got Green Bay, Denver, Tennessee, or New Orleans. Those would be kind of the top, I think, defenses that you can name. We could wrap up the defense segment right now because you
gotta throw Seattle because Houston they've been trash, and you got Judge Davis Mills Lane coming out, and Seattle.
Oh, listen, look what Indianapolis did against Houston. Houston's got to be in the mix there, but Casey does have the right idea. Of course, you look at those really bad teams and see who's matched up, and unless the defense that you're playing against them is atrocious, you can go in that direction. But Casey, you were supposed to only take one, and instead you took four.
I'm moving. We're running behind schedule. I'm trying to move it along here.
Ross, who would you add to the picture?
Oh no, I had Denver, I had Green Bay, and I had Tennessee. I had all three of those as good pickups. They're all under 60%. If you have a defense that I did not mention and they're playing a tough team, drop that defense and pick up one of these defenses because you can do it all season. Might as well do it.
All right. I don't mind Carolina at home against Atlanta. Also, I think that's a fine pickup. Because you got to remember some of these teams are going to be taken. You could be playing in a league that's really on it. You got to know some of these backup teams to pick up. Alex, who would be your favorite out of everybody if you had your choice?
Definitely Green Bay. Coming off the bye, they've been preparing for this for 2 weeks, but a dark horse going to be the Chargers, 26% roster. They just cleaned up against the Bengals, and they're going to be going up against Jake Fromm, fallout from State Farm. It's probably going to be really ugly for the Giants.
It is going to to be bad. I keep watching that draft.
It's in LA.
Up the list.
It's in LA.
Great.
It's time for the dreaded kicker, and Alex, I just want to say, I don't know if you agree with this, but I tend to just try to get a decent kicker who's already gotten their bye week out of the way, and then I just forget about it. I'm like, I don't want to think about this ever again. The only thing that I'll add is that, I try to find somebody who kicks in either warm weather or a dome or that sort of thing. But Alex, what's your strategy with kickers?
Pick one that plays for the Rams and then don't worry about anybody else. So if you went with that strategy over the last 5-6 years, you've pretty much been money in the bank. But every league that I play in with a kicker, for some reason, everyone was just off Matt Gay. And so I picked him as the last kicker in every single league that I played in. I didn't even want to drop him during his bye because you could lock him in for 10 to 11 points every single week, and you really can't ask for too much more. I don't even play in a Yahoo league where I play in zero kicker leagues on Yahoo, so I can't even see who's rostered under 60%.
That's funny.
That's awesome. I think that's a blessing in a way to not have to deal with the kicker situation. Ross, who would you put in?
Matt Prater's playing the Rams this week. In Arizona.
MFSN friend Matt Prater.
Matt Prater was a guest on our show. Prater, I think Arizona's back offensively. Murray's back. Hopkins is back. They have the regular team playing, as we mentioned before. Arizona. I said at the beginning of the season, what team did I say is my dark horse who I think will go to the Super Bowl? Say it, guys.
He said Arizona.
Arizona Cardinals.
Ross sometimes is like some kind of savant.
And I still believe that Arizona is the team to beat in an NFC. I think when they're healthy, they're the best team. It's not good that J.J. Watt's not playing. I wish he was there just for motivational reasons. But doesn't matter. I still will take my Arizona team. I think Prater's going to have a field day with the Rams on Sunday. It should be a great game.
All right, Case. Who do you got?
Dustin Hopkins of the Chargers going against the Giants. I think I would stack the Chargers this week after watching what the Giants are incapable of doing. They're at home in LA, so it's better weather than whether you're in Denver or in Green Bay, some other good kickers where you're not sure the weather is going to be real conducive to the kicking game. So I would take Hopkins for the Chargers.
All right, I'm gonna add Mason Crosby. They're playing Chicago. They should be ahead a lot. I don't love it for weather purposes, but
it's going to be minus 20 degrees and snowing, and the ball's going to feel like a brick. But take Crosby. It's a good idea.
Listen, the other guy that you could go with is Brandon McManus of Denver. They're playing against Detroit. He's a good, solid kicker. And listen, when you're playing a team as bad as Detroit, you're going to get a lead. And Denver's not even that good at converting into touchdowns. So I think
Denver's not much better than Detroit. That's going to be a close game.
Close games are what you want with kickers.
I'm taking the Detroit Lions in that game, just so you know. But keep going.
Interesting. All right, Alex, anything to add here of any of the players? And, sometimes, Alex, we talk about players that have disappointed so much and it's time to cut bait. Do you have anybody in mind for that?
Cortland Sutton, definitely. And Jerry Jeudy might even be on that as well. Really just because of how bad Denver's offense really is and really how they run. It's getting cold. When it gets cold in Denver, they start running through the running backs. It happens like this every single year.
Javonte Williams looked yesterday.
Oh, he was the man. And we've been waiting for this all year. And there's some people who are mad about Gordon coming back, but I think it's good. Keep them fresh. They've both been really solid, even when they both play splitting the work. But yeah, Javonte Williams, he was someone I was really big on over the offseason, and I made sure to tell everyone, if you're going to draft him, you got to give him 9 to 10 weeks. You got to give him at least the first half of the season to where you're going to commit to not dropping him because he's going to be a second half darling.
It's a really good thing to keep in mind. Rookie wide receivers, it's always that way. They're never going to be very good at the beginning, but they really can be by the end of the year. But people forget that can happen with the rookie running backs too. They always expect the rookie running backs to just come in and be beasts right away, which actually sometimes they do. That absolutely happens. When Adrian Peterson first came out, I drafted him in the 3rd round. I knew he was going to be a monster, and he was. That happens. But then other times it's like Javonte Williams, where you think that they're not turning the corner, and then they are. Even Michael Carter was starting to come around. I know he's on the Jets, so he had low upside, but still, he was starting to come around. All right, Alex, any closing words for the fans out there on strategies for your fantasy playoffs? How are you thinking about this at this point in the season?
So you got to be looking ahead. I mean, you literally have to be planning for every single week. So, I mean, there's some leagues where I already have 2 defenses, somewhere I already have a 3rd one where it's like I have teams specifically for 1 week and that's it. And then I'm going to drop them. You got to be looking to see where your holes are for the playoffs, whether it's your QB. If you're in a 1 QB league, you better be looking at those matchups right now. Pick up a backup QB going into the playoffs. Don't wait until that week because everyone's going to be doing the same thing. You got to play defense as much as you play offense in fantasy football. You got to look at your opponent's matchup. You got to be looking to steal away players that they need. Like in one league, this week, we play in a super flex league. The guy that I'm going up against, he only had 1 QB. So I made sure to pick up a couple starting QBs that like Gardner Minshew, Mike Glennon. I picked them up just so he couldn't play them, like no matter what. And, you got to be willing to make moves like that. Don't rest on your laurels because I've lost championships thinking that I'm riding with this team because they got me here. Doesn't work like that.
Yeah, listen, you take every advantage you can get. I totally agree with that. You don't want to save a roster spot when you could actually prevent a guy from being able to play a second quarterback in a superflex league or having to play a terrible defense or something like that. I totally agree with the idea of getting ahead of the curve also. If you're looking ahead at your schedule and it looks like you're going to make the playoffs, look at the defenses and see who they match up. Snag them now. You can beat people to the punch that way. These are great insights, guys. Ross, Casey, anything you'd add in terms of the playoffs? I know that Casey, you and I talked last week about not overthinking things. Start your best guys a lot of the time. So, Ross, anything to add to this?
I mean, the thing that scares me is I don't know, some schedules are different than other schedules. Look at your playoff schedule. If there's a 17th week or 18th week, I guess there's 18 weeks in the schedule this year, right? If the championship's in the 18th week, and let's say your team...
What league would do that?
There's some leagues that play like the last week. Some don't. But just make sure you have options at the quarterback spot because maybe your quarterback's going to be sitting because he's already in the playoffs and the game doesn't mean anything. I'm talking about Tom Brady. Just know your schedule, know the weakness, know the strength of schedules, and make sure you are prepared at all positions for the playoffs because sometimes rosters lock when playoffs start. I mean, those leagues do. As soon as the playoffs start, the rosters lock and you can't pick anybody up. You're done for the season.
Alex, do you play in any leagues where the commissioner has committed the party foul of having a week 18? Or do you not even consider that a party foul? I do.
No, I would definitely consider that a party foul, and I wouldn't even play in a league where that would be, where that would be the championship. The only thing that I will say is taking away one of the bye weeks for each conference, that makes a difference, and then adding the extra playoff team, that makes a difference on more teams actually competing in week 18, and even like what Ross the Boss just said right now. I don't think any team is going to turn it off in week 18 because, everyone's still fighting for the number one position. There's only one bye per conference, and that is so important that, if you're within one game of it, you never know what's going to happen.
It's a really good point. The way they've shifted the NFL, now you've got more teams with something to play for, and that's good because I know we all hate that in fantasy sports where it's determined by...
You do. I'm just worried about guys like Tom Brady. Do you want to risk him getting hurt the last game of the season if it means really not that much at all? It just depends, and you got to be aware of what's going on. I know there's going to be players resting the last week of the season. I can tell you that right now.
But that means you got to look at your roster and see. Do you have players like that? If you've got Tom Brady, then yes, go ahead and look on the wire.
Let's say, for example, really quick, and we'll go after this. Devin Cook, let's say he's healthy, but Minnesota's out of the playoffs. It doesn't matter. Will he be playing a lot? Will Madison get the carries? I don't know. They may rest Cook, thinking about next season. They don't want to bang him up. I don't know what's going to happen. So you just got to be aware about all that stuff and watch the inactives, watch who's active, watch who's inactive before the 30 minutes before a game. Know what's going on. Pay attention.
Love it. Well, listen, when Ross starts shouting, we know it's time to go. Wait, no, that's not true. He starts shouting at the beginning of the show usually. Well, listen, Alex, we really want to thank you, the Fantasy Football Hustler, for joining us. This was fun. We'd love to have you back sometime. We'll keep talking fantasy sports. We'll have to do it next season because we're wrapping up on this one. But we can't wait to connect with you more. Fans out there, if you have comments, put them below. We'd love to talk fantasy football with you, even in the offseason. Just keep bringing it. We love it. Thanks for joining us. We hope it has been a good season bringing you all the waiver wire information. Check out Alex's show, Fantasy Football Hustler. He's clearly bringing the heat. We love it, Alex. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for watching.
Ever since I've been doing these commercials for Killcliff, my Tinder account has been blowing up, dog. Ooh, those are horny young fellas sliding into Brandy's DMs. Mr. Castle Master, how about that? Killcliff Octane CBD, the Killer Cliffsicle. All the benefits of caffeine smooth over with CBD.